The world's most prolific killer wore a white coat. What if the person you trusted most with your life was secretly calculating your death? We're taught from childhood that monsters hide in the shadows, lurking in dark alleys or behind masks. But history's most prolific serial killer didn't hide. He sat by your bedside. He held your hand. He offered your family a cup of tea while he watched the life drain out of your eyes. His name was Harold Shipman, but the world remembers him as Dr. Death. Before we dive into the chilling mechanics of his crimes, let's look at the numbers, because they are staggering. Ted Bundy claimed 30 lives. Jeffrey Dahmer took 17. John Wayne Gacy murdered 33. Harold Shipman is officially linked to 215 deaths, but the real number is estimated to be over 450. That means he outkilled the most famous American serial killers combined, and he did it without ever breaking a sweat. Shipman was a respected GP in the small town of Hyde, England. He was the kind of doctor who made house calls. He was attentive, professional, and seemingly dedicated to his patients. The community didn't just like him, they worshipped him. If you had a cough, a cold, or a terminal illness, Shipman was the man you wanted by your side. But behind that mask of professional empathy was a predator with a god complex that defied logic. His method was terrifyingly simple. He would visit elderly patients, often women who lived alone, under the guise of a routine checkup. While they sat in their favorite armchairs, he would administer a lethal dose of diamorphine medical-grade heroin. He didn't use a knife or a gun, he used a syringe. Then he would sit and wait. He watched them slip away into a sleep they would never wake up from. Once they were dead, the real horror began. Shipman would calmly fill out the death certificate, citing old age or natural causes. Because he was a doctor, nobody questioned him. Who challenges a medical professional when they say a 70-year-old woman's heart simply gave out? But he went even deeper to cover his tracks. Shipman would return to his office and pull up the patient's medical records. He would create fake entries, backdating them by months or years. He'd write that the patient had complained of chest pains or heart palpitations. He was literally rewriting history to justify the deaths he was about to cause. For over 20 years, this was his routine. He wasn't killing for money, and he wasn't killing for sexual gratification. The aha moment that investigators eventually realized was that Shipman killed for the ultimate high, total control. He wanted to be the master of life and death. He enjoyed the power of being the last thing a person saw, and the power of being the one to tell the grieving family that their loved one was gone. He was so arrogant, so convinced of his own brilliance, that he thought he was untouchable. But every predator eventually makes a mistake. Shipman's mistake was greed mixed with incredible sloppiness. In 1998, he murdered Kathleen Grundy, an 81-year-old former mayor. He didn't just kill her, he forged her will to leave his family £386,000. The will was typed on a machine that was later found in his office. Even worse, the signature was a clumsy forgery that her daughter, a lawyer, spotted immediately. When the police finally exhumed Kathleen's body, they found lethal levels of diamorphine. Then they exhumed another and another. The bodies were all found in the same state, fully clothed, sitting upright or lying on a sofa, looking peaceful. They didn't look like murder victims. They looked like they had just drifted off. The investigation revealed that Shipman had been killing since the mid-1970s. He had turned the act of healing into a conveyor belt of death. When he was finally caught, the town of Hyde went into shock. People protested his arrest. They shouted at the police, defending the man who had been killing their mothers and grandmothers for decades. It is a psychological phenomenon. We find it easier to believe the police are corrupt than to believe our hero is a monster. Shipman never confessed. He never showed remorse. He took his secrets to the grave in 2004, leaving behind a legacy that forced the British government to change how deaths are certified and how drugs are monitored. He is the reason your doctor's records are now digitized and tracked with such scrutiny. He proved that the most dangerous weapon isn't a firearm, it's a reputation. The next time you're in a waiting room, look at the certificates on the wall. They represent knowledge and trust. But in the hands of Harold Shipman, they were just a license to kill. The scariest monsters don't look like the ones in the movies. They look like the person you've known for 20 years. They look like the man who tells you everything is going to be okay. Tag a fellow crime enthusiast.